it's Shell from Scrap Secrets and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is part of my guest designer series for Sparkle Blends, and we're going to make this adorable tag. I started off with two stamp sets from Concord and Ninth, winter wear and daily wear. So from the daily wear, we're going to use the girl as well as the sentiment Hey Girl, and from the winter wear, we're going to use the scarf. I took this pre-made tag from Hobby Lobby and put it into my Stamp Perfect. And here is the sparkle blend that we're going to use. It's called King Cake and it's from the January-February release and it's beautiful. It's an emerald green and a purple with some gold. Very pretty and different than most of the sparkle blends that I typically gravitate towards, but I do love these colors. So I love purple, but I don't normally pair it with green. So I was really excited to challenge myself to use these two together. So for the tag, I stamped out the scarf first. Normally I would stamp out the girl's face, but I wanted to make sure there was enough room so that you could see the whole entire scarf plus her head, and then I wanted to make sure that the sentiment was able to be stamped on there. So I'm using MFT Extreme Black ink, inked it up, stamped both of those down, and I had practiced on this scrap piece of paper, so I'm going to use that. I fussy cut it off screen, and then I'm using my Zig 2A glue pen, which really doesn't have any glue left in it. It's just repositionable at this point, on the back of the masks. Now, I had some old Distress Oxide on the back of this paper. So I don't want to put the two-way ink on the back of that, or glue on the back of that, because that Distress Oxide ink can transfer over onto my image. So I do use a repositionable tape runner from Concord and Ninth on this project, just so that that ink doesn't transfer. Once the image is covered, I'm going to do my background. I took this stencil, and I believe it's a 3x6 stencil from A Colorful Life Designs, and I think this one is called Tiny Dots. I knew that I wanted to do a radiating pattern, so I wanted it to be very concentrated behind the image, and then as you got out, as you went out from the image, I wanted it to be less concentrated. So I'm using a heavier hand right over the image, and then I am trying to use a lighter hand as we go out. So I used Lucky Clover first, and now I'm going to use Seedless Preserves from on the bottom. But what I noticed was the bottom left-hand corner was not going to have any dots, and it looked kind of funny. I felt like I needed more on that side. So I go back and I try to line it up and put dots on like a lighter dot on the left-hand side. It did leave a little bit of halo, so I went back over and I tried to fix it. If that does bother you, there's a couple things you can do. You can go back in with a white gel pen and try to get rid of some of those little halos. You can take your ink blending tools with not inking them back up and just go over them very lightly to kind of make that background be the lighter color instead of it being bright white. You can try to fade the background a little bit so that the halo will be less noticeable. Now, if you guys have been around for a little while, you know that I'm pretty heavy-handed with the ink, so it didn't really bother me with the halo effect, so I kind of just left it. And I took off the masks, which is my absolute favorite part. I love seeing images after you unmask them and have done backgrounds. So next I am taking some of my Prismacolor colored pencils and coloring in the scarf. I picked 2 shades of purple, and I'm just going over some of the dark parts where it would be the darkest, and then coloring it in with the lighter color. And I will also pick 2 greens and do that in the open areas. I wanted to keep this image mostly the purple and the green because those were the main colors of the sparkle blends that I chose to use. So you can see I'm going to do the same exact thing with the 2 shades of green that I chose. And I think I told you the background colors were Lucky Clover and Seedless Preserve. So I just tried my best to pick colored pencils that matched with those. So I will just quickly color in the rest of this. Normally I would use Gamsol on this, but my Gamsol is in the trash. Gamsol and I have a pretty much hate-hate relationship. I spilled it all over my desk at one point because I forgot to put the cap back on. And then it was stored away for a little while, and somehow the cap came loose, and pretty much the rest of the bottle got emptied into the little the holder that it was in. So it was in why can't I think of the word? It was in a plastic container, one that I keep like my colored pencils in. So it was in one of those, and everything in there kind of got destroyed. So I'm not going to be using Gamsol for a long time. I colored in the skin tone in just one color, again, because I was just trying to do this pretty quickly. Lucy was very, very vocal tonight, and she was not happy about me crafting. So she kept bringing me toys, and if you've heard her in any of my videos, when she whines, she was doing that all night, and then she was trying to jump up onto the craft desk. So I didn't have much time to craft, so I just wanted to make this as easy as possible. So I did one color for the face and two colors for the hair. So I just did a lighter and a darker brown. I'm going back and doing a little bit of shading. Not totally thrilled with that, but again, I didn't have a ton of time because she was just, I don't know. She wanted something tonight, but anytime I gave her attention, she would just bite me. So not sure exactly what she wanted. She's over here sleeping right now while I do my voiceover, so she's fine. So now I'm getting ready to stamp the sentiment from the daily wear that says, "Hey girl." I'm using that same exact MFT Extreme Black ink to ink up the sentiment, and I love the way that it fit perfectly over the bun. The girl was, I don't know if they meant to do that, but I think it looked perfect on this tag. So set that aside after I inked it up and stamped it a couple times, and I think these pieces from the King Cake sparkle blends just looked fabulous, and they were basically the right size to make hoop earrings for this image. That's why I specifically chose this image, because I wanted to use these as earrings. So I'm using some of the Honeybee Bee Creative Precision Glue to put a dot on the back of the earring, and then I'm using the little peg magnets that came with this. It came with a another cutting mat that I got, a magnetic cutting mat that I got, to hold them down into place while that glue dries. I really only wanted to do a dab. I thought I was going to keep them loose, but I do go back and add a little bit of glue to the bottom too. I wasn't sure if you'd be able to see it through the hoops or not, and I didn't want you to be able to see it through there. So now you guys have to tell me if you have any tips or tricks on how to put embellishments together, because I've tried that embellishment triangle that everybody talks about, putting them in odd numbers, and for the life of me, I don't know what I was doing wrong. I don't know if it's just I'm too critical, or I just couldn't figure out how to put these together, but I had one heck of a time trying. I am going to use the adorable heart that comes in there. There's clay hearts, and they are green, purple, and yellow, which the blend is green, purple, and gold. So they're just so cute. So I did know that I wanted to add that to the side of the sentiment. So I will glue that down, and then the rest of them, I'm just going back and forth trying to figure out the placement. I cut a lot of it out because this was probably the longest part of the entire project, was me just trying to figure out which ones should go where. So again, if you have any suggestions or tips on how to use embellishments, if there's like a trick to figuring out what should go where, let me know, because this was the honestly longest part of the entire tag. It should never have taken me this long. So once I found a placement that I thought I liked, I wasn't totally thrilled with it. but maybe it's just me being kind of a perfectionist and, you know, had a rough day at work. And so I think I was probably taking it out on this and nothing was going to look right to me. I do love the way that it turned out, but I kind of had some doubt as I was going through it. So this last one that I'm putting down, again, I have a hard time with this one. The glue was not sticking, and then there was too much glue on the paper, and then you'll see I smudge it. I try to put it back down, and I get glue smudge everywhere. So there's two ways that you can fix this. You can wait for it to dry, which is what I did, and then take an eraser and go over it and see if you can take up the smudge. Or you can take a white gel pen, a white marker, and go over it. You know, I would kind of just try to get as much of it off as I can with my fingers once it's dry, and an eraser. And if that doesn't work, then you can use the gel pen over top of it. But you can see there that I just really smudged it. If the smudge is too bad, you could always take some ink and ink around the edges of your tag as well. So I'm just going back in and adding some white gel pen to her cheeks, and that tag is done. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you have comments or questions, leave them below. I will also leave my code for 10% off $10 or more at the Doodles Paper Playground shop on Etsy, and I will see you guys again real soon for another video. Bye!